Hello, beautiful. So today I'm going to read a little bit from this oldie but a goodie, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. Um, may she rest in peace. I've chosen chapter 3 and I've also, uh, I'm going to include today a special gift. So if you'd like, I've created an inner child meditation exercise, and if you would like a copy of it, let me know because I will endeavor to send it to you. Alrighty, so let's begin. This is chapter 3, and it says, "Where does it come from? The past has no power over me." All right, we've gone through a lot of stuff and we've sifted through what we thought the problem was. Now we have to come up with what I believe is the real problem. We feel that we are not good enough and there is a lack of self love. Can you relate? From the way I look at life, if there is any problem, then this has to be true. So let us look at where this belief came from. How do we go from being a tiny baby who knows the perfection of itself and of life to being a person who has problems and feels unworthy and unlovable to one degree or another? People who already love themselves can love themselves even more. Think of a rose from the time it is a tiny bud, as it opens to the full flower, till the last petal falls. It is always beautiful. It is always perfect. And it is always changing. So it is with us. We are always perfect, always beautiful, and ever changing. We are doing the best we can with the understanding, awareness, and knowledge we have. As we gain more understanding, awareness, and knowledge, then we'll do things differently. Mental house cleaning. Now is the time to examine our past a little more, to take a look at some of the beliefs that have been running us. Some people find that this part of the cleansing process can be very painful, but it need not be. We must look at what is there before we can clean it out, just like if you're cleaning house. If you want to clean a room thoroughly, you will pick up and examine everything. Some things you will look at with love and you'll dust them or polish them and give them a new beauty. Some things you will see that need refinishing or repair and you make a note to do that. Some things will never serve you again and it becomes time to let these things go. Old magazines and newspapers and dirty paper plates can be dropped into the waste basket very calmly. There is no need to get angry in order to clean a room. It is the same thing when we're cleaning our mental house. There is no need to get angry just because some of the beliefs in it are ready to be tossed out. Let them go as easily as you would scrape bits of food into the trash after a meal. Would you really dig into yesterday's garbage to make tonight's meal? Do you dig into old mental garbage to create tomorrow's experiences? If a thought or belief does not serve you, then let it go. There is no written law that says because you once believed something, you have to continue to believe it forever. Let's look at some limiting beliefs and where they came from. Limiting belief: I'm not good enough. Where it came from: a father who repeatedly told him he was stupid. He said he wanted to be a success so his daddy would be proud of him, but he was riddled with guilt, which created resentment, and all he could produce was one failure after another. Daddy kept financing businesses for him, and one after another they failed. He used failure to get even. He made his daddy pay and pay and pay. And of course, he was the biggest loser. Limiting belief: lack of self-love. Where it came from: trying to win daddy's approval. The last thing she wanted to be was like her father. They couldn't agree on anything and were always arguing. She only wanted his approval, but instead all she got was criticism. Her body was full of pains. Her father had exactly the same kind of pains. She did not realize her anger was creating her pains, just as her father's anger was creating pain for him. Limiting belief: life is dangerous. Where it came from: a frightened father. Another client saw life as grim and harsh. It was difficult for her to laugh, and when she did, she would become frightened that something bad would happen. She been reared with admonition, don't laugh or they might get you. Limiting belief, I'm not good enough. Where it came from, being abandoned and ignored. It was difficult for him to talk. Silence had become a way of life for him. He had just come off drugs and alcohol and was convinced that he was terrible. I discovered his mother had died when he was very young and he'd been reared by an aunt. The aunt seldom spoke except to give an order, and he was brought up in silence. He even ate alone in silence and stayed quietly in his room day after day. He had a lover who was a silent man, and they spent most of their time alone in silence. The lover died, and once again he was alone. Exercise, negative messages. The next exercise we do is to get a large sheet of paper and make a list of all the things your parents said were wrong with you. What were the negative messages you heard? Give yourself enough time to remember as many as you can. A half an hour usually works well. What did they say about money? What did they say about your body? What did they say about love and relationships? What did they say about your creative talents? What were the limiting or negative things they said to you? If you can, just look objectively at these items and say to yourself, so that's where that belief came from. Now take a new sheet of paper and dig a little deeper. What other negative messages did you hear as a child? From relatives, from teachers, from friends, from authority figures, from your church? Write them all down. Take your time and be aware of what feelings are going on in your body. What you have on these two pieces of paper are the thoughts that need to be removed from your consciousness. These are the very beliefs that you've been making you feel not good enough. Seeing yourself as a child. If we were to take a 3-year-old child and put him in the middle of the room, and you and I was to start yelling at the child, telling him how stupid he was, how he could never do anything right, how he should do this, shouldn't do that, and look at the mess he made and maybe hit him a few times, we would end up with a frightened little child who sits docilely in the corner or tears up the place. The child will go one of these two ways, but we will never know the potential of that child. If we take the same little child and tell him how much we love him, how much we care, that we love the way he looks and how bright and clever he is, that we love the way he does things and it's okay for him to make mistakes as he learns, and that we will always be there for him no matter what, then the potential that comes out of that child will blow your mind. Each one of us has a 3-year-old child within us, and we often spend most of our time yelling at the kid in ourselves. Then we wonder why our lives don't work. If you had a friend who was always criticizing you, would you want to be around that person? Perhaps you were treated this way as a child, and that is sad. However, that was a long time ago, and if you are now choosing to treat yourself in the same way, then that's sadder still. So now, here in front of us, we have a list of negative messages we heard as a child. How does this list correspond with what you believe to be wrong with you? Are they almost the same? Probably yes. We base our life script on our earlier messages. We are all little children and obediently accept what they tell us as truth. It would be very easy just to blame our parents and be victims for the rest of our lives. But that wouldn't be much fun, and it certainly wouldn't get us out of our stuck position. Blaming your family. Blame is one of the surest ways to stay in a problem. In blaming another, we give away our power. Understanding enables us to rise above the issue and take control of our future. The past cannot be changed. The future is shaped by our current thinking. It is imperative for our freedom to understand that our parents were doing the best they could with the understanding, awareness, and knowledge they had. Whenever we blame someone else, we're not taking responsibility for ourselves. I just want to read that line again. Whenever we blame someone else, we are not taking responsibility for ourselves. Those people who did all those terrible things to us were just as frightened as scared as you are. They felt just the same helplessness as you do. The only thing they could possibly teach you are what they had been taught. How much do you know about your parents' childhoods, especially before the age of 10? If it's possible for you to find out, ask them. If you are able to find out about your parents' childhoods, you will more easily understand why they did and what they did. Understanding will bring you compassion. If you don't know and can't find out, try to imagine what it might have been like for them. What kind of childhood would create an adult like that? You need this knowledge for your own freedom. You can't free yourself until you free them. You can't forgive yourself until you forgive them. If you demand perfection from them, you will demand perfection from yourselves, and you will be miserable all your life. Choosing our parents. I agree with the theory that we choose our parents. The lessons that we learn seem perfectly matched to the weaknesses of your parents we have. I believe we are all on an endless journey through eternity. We come to this planet to learn particular lessons that are necessary for our spiritual evolution. We choose our sex, our colour, our country, and then we look around for the perfect set of parents who will mirror our patterns. Our visits to this planet are like going to school. If you want to become a beautician, you go to beauty school. If you want to become a mechanic, you go to mechanic school. If you want to become a lawyer, you go to law school. The parents you pick this time are the perfect couple who are the experts in what you have chosen to learn. When we grow up, we have a tendency to point our fingers accusingly at our parents and say, "You did it to me." But I believe we chose them. Listening to others. Our older brother and sister are gods to us when we're little. If they were unhappy, they probably took it out on us physically or verbally. They might have said things like, "I'll tell on you for," instilling guilt. "You're just a baby, you can't do that. You're too stupid to play with us." Teachers at school often influence us greatly. In the 5th grade, a teacher told me empathically I was too tall to be a dancer. I believed her and I put away my dancing ambitions until I was too old to make a career in dancing. Did you understand that tests and grade were only to see how much knowledge you had at a given time? Or were you a child who allowed tests and grades to measure your self-worth? Our early friends share their own misinformation about life with us. The other kids at school tease us and leave lasting hurts. When I was a child, my last name was Looney, and the kids used to call me lunatic. Neighbours also have an influence, not only because of their remarks, but because we're asked, what will the neighbours think? Think back to the other authority figures who were influential in your childhood. And, of course, there are strong and very persuasive statements made by advertising in periodicals and on television. All too many products are sold by making us feel we are unworthy or wrong if we don't use them. We are all here to transcend our early limitations, whatever they were. We're here to recognize our own magnificence and divinity, no matter what they told us. You have your negative beliefs to overcome, and I have my negative beliefs to overcome. And I will finish with this little poem. In the infinity of life where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete. The past has no power over me because I am willing to learn and to change. I see the past as necessary to bring me to where I am today. I'm willing to begin where I am right now to clean the rooms of my mental house. I know it does not matter where I start, so I now begin with the smallest and easiest rooms, and in that way I will see results quickly. I'm thrilled to be in the middle of this adventure, for I know I will never go through this particular experience again. I'm willing to set myself free. All is well in my world. And that's story time with Dave for today. What did you think? I'd love to hear your feedback. Um, it certainly touches, brings home all of those things and where our influences are. And often we don't think about that kind of stuff. So take a moment. If you do the exercise, I'd love to hear about it. And let me know if you would like the inner child meditation. Sending you lots of love.